Okay, today we're in section 8.6, writing linear equations. So basically, like I was just saying, this lesson is like a backwards version of the last lesson. So now I'm using my graph to figure out what the equation is, or I'm using the coordinates to figure out what my equation is. All right, so let's look at just a couple of refreshers, hopefully, on your definitions. What is the equation for slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. All right, so that is in its most basic form. That's your slope-intercept form. You have to have that memorized. Now, what does m stand for? Slope. What does b stand for? Y-intercept. All right, you've got to know that. Okay, so if you don't, get it memorized quickly, please. Okay, so now in example 1, it wants me to write an equation of the line that has a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of -7. All right, so on your papers, I want you to start with your original equation, y equals mx plus b. And now we're going to plug in the numbers where they belong in the equation. So if my slope is 3, where do I substitute 3 for? M. I substitute it for m. Y equals 3x. And what do I substitute in for b? -7. -7. And that's my answer. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to do the checkpoint number 1. Okay, so go ahead and do this first problem. Write an equation of a line with a slope of 1 and a y-intercept of -5. Okay, just like example 1.
Y equals 1x plus 5.
Y equals 1x plus 5. And do you technically need the 1?
No.
No. Okay, so you could just say x plus 5 and that would be perfectly fine. All right, so that's it for example 1. Now in example 2, now it just gives me, okay, I'm going to look at it 2 different ways. First I'm going to show you the graph. Okay, we're going to figure it out, and then I'm going to show you what it will look like on your homework tonight and your quiz and your test. All right, so when I'm looking at this graph, it just gives me the line, and it says, tell me what the equation is. So we have to work backwards to find our slope and our y-intercept. The y-intercept is going to be a little easier because I just look at the point where the line crosses the y-axis. And what value does it cross the y-axis? It crosses the y-axis at a value of 3, so b equals 3. All right, so that was simple. Now, the not-so-simple part is actually to figure out the slope, because I have to first figure out which one of these points is my x1, y1, and which one is my x2, y2. So the way I figure it out is it's the very first point farthest to the left that's going to be my x1 and my y1. And then this one will be my x2 and my y2. Does anybody remember my formula for finding slope? Just tell me.
Y2 minus x. Y2 minus y1.
Very good.
Y2 minus x.
Very good. Okay, and now I just plug in my numbers. So go ahead and plug in your numbers and find your slope. All right, we did 4 minus 0 over, I'm sorry, no. Hold on, back it up. We did 2 minus 3. Does that sound more like it?
Yes.
Over 4 minus 0. -1 over 4 is our slope, right? -1 over 4, is that what you got? Yes? No? Yeah? Okay, so good. So now all you have to do is plug in these numbers into your slope-intercept form. So y equals 3x. No. Y equals -1/4 x plus 3. And that's your equation. So that's how you would work backwards from your graph. Now what if I were to only give you the ordered pairs and not the graph? Okay? So how would we figure it out then? All right, so let's look at this one. What if it said write an equation of a line that passes through points -2, -11, and 0, -11? So I still have to figure out what is my y-intercept and what is my slope. Now this time my y-intercept isn't as obvious, right? Because I'm not looking at a graph. But one of these ordered pairs clearly tells me what the y-intercept is. You have to imagine with me for a second if you were to be graphing this. Which one of these ordered pairs, the first one or the second one, would be plotted on the y-axis?
The second one.
How do you know?
Because it was 0 for the x value.
Because the x value is 0. Do you see that? So if the x value is 0, you're not going either way, and then you go y down 11, your point's going to be on the y-axis. So your y-intercept is going to be negative 11. Do you see how we figured that out? Okay, so you kind of have to picture it, but which one of these points, and on your homework tonight, one of the points is going to have an x value of 0. So your y-intercept will be the other number. All right, so y-intercept is negative 11. And now, how do you find slope? You use your formula. Okay, go ahead and use your formula to find the slope. All right, so y2 is negative 11 minus y1, which is also negative 11. Did you write a double negative?
Yes.
Over x2 minus x1, which also becomes a double negative. So, 0 over 2. So what is my slope?
0.
Okay, this one's a little goofy. No. My slope is 0. Remember, if it's in my numerator, my slope is 0. All right, so this equation is going to be y equals negative 11, right? Because 0x is just 0. So y equals negative 11. This is going to be a horizontal line. All right, now what if it wasn't a horizontal line? Let me give you another one. Okay, go ahead and do this one. Okay, go ahead and do this one. Write an equation of the line through the points negative 2, 6, and 0, negative 4. Figure out what's your y-intercept, what's your slope, and then plug them into your slope-intercept form. This one won't have a slope of 0. All right, so what's your b value?
Negative 4.
Did you get that, Hayden? Negative 4? Okay, because I look for the ordered pair that the point is going to be plotted on the x-axis. So if I don't go anywhere on the x-axis and I go down 4, the point's going to be on the y-axis. So b is negative 4. All right. Now my slope, I have to do negative 4 minus 6 over 0 minus 2. Oh, sorry, 0 minus negative 2. So that's negative 10 over 2, which is negative 5. So what's going to be my equation?
Y equals negative 5x minus 4.
Perfect. Minus 4. Now in example 3, okay, now this first one represents a section on your homework, okay? So on your homework, it's going to say the lines are parallel. Here's your equation. Here's your ordered pair. Now write the equation of the parallel line, okay? And then you'll have a section for perpendicular lines. So we're going to do one of each. All right, it says write an equation of the line that is parallel to the line y equals 4x minus 8. What do you know about the slopes of parallel lines? That they're the same. No, they're the same. So whatever the slope is in my original equation, Colin, will be the slope in my parallel equation also. So I know that it's going to start with y equals 4x, the same exact way that my other equation started. Except now I am going to have a different y-intercept. If I had the same y-intercept, it would be the same line, right? So it says that it passes through the point 0, 2. Can I use that ordered pair to find my new y-intercept?
Yes.
What's my y-intercept?
Negative 0.
No, if I were to plot this point, where would it cross the y-axis?
2.
At a value of 2. So whatever the y value is, that's my new y-intercept. If I go 0 up 2, my y-intercept is 2. If this ordered pair was, let's say it was 0, negative 3, what's going to be my y-intercept? Negative 3. It's whatever that other value is. If my first value is 0 for my x, then whatever my y value is, that's my y-intercept. All right, and so that's it. That's how I would answer it. There's no work to show in this section of your homework. All you're doing is writing the equation of your parallel line. All right, but now with perpendicular lines, it's not as cut and dry because what do I know about the slope of a perpendicular line? It's the exact opposite, meaning that I have to flip my slope, do the reciprocal, and it's the opposite sign. So if it was negative in the original equation, it's now going to be positive. All right, so now I'm going to have y equals, what's the negative reciprocal of negative 5? It's 5 over 1, so what's it going to be when I flip it? 1 over 5, positive or negative? It's going to be positive. If it was negative in the original, it's now going to be positive in my perpendicular equation because it's the opposite sign. So 1/5 x, and now I just use my coordinate to figure out what my new y-intercept is. What is it? -9. 1/5 x minus 9. And that's it. Okay, so for the perpendicular lines, don't forget to do the negative reciprocal for your slope, and then just plug in your new y-intercept. And then you're good to go. All right, so that's example 3. Now we're going to cover one more example and we'll be done. Now it wants me to write an equation from a table. So now all I have is an input-output table. That's it. Well, from the beginning, I can see just from the table what my y-intercept is. Can anybody else see it? These are paired up strategically. These are my XY pairs. Anybody see one that might give away the y-intercept, Amelia?
3.
Very good. The one that has an x value of 0. Right? Because if it has an x value of 0 and I go down 3, that's where the line is going to cross the y-axis. So I could say up here b equals -3. And now I need to find my slope, and I can use my formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. But here's my problem. I don't have any ordered pairs, or do I? Do I have ordered pairs here? So I just choose 2 of them. Okay, it's as simple as that. I'm just going to choose, and I want to write them out just so I can clearly see, but I'm going to choose 2, -2, and 4, 1. Do you see where I got those ordered pairs from? And now I just plug them into my formula and I solve. All right? So you need to pull out 2 ordered pairs from your input-output table, and then you just plug them into your formula, and there's your slope. All right, I want you to go ahead and do this part on your own. All right, so 1 minus -2 over 4 minus 2 is going to be 3 over 2. Did y'all get that for your slope? M equals 3 over 2, so now you just have to plug them in and write your equation. Y equals 3 over 2x minus 3. And there's your equation. All right, so that's it for example 4. I am going to go ahead and cut off your homework, so if your parents don't believe you, just show them the end of the YouTube video. But I'm going to go ahead and cut off your homework at number 24. So tonight's homework for 8.6 is numbers 8 through 24 even. 8 through 24 even. All right, and that's everything you need to know for 8.6.